Alrighty, g'day everybody, it's the Doga! I'm sure you know what's coming based on the title of this video as well as the thumbnail, that today's episode is an update or a part 2 or whatever to my collection of Beatles cassettes. Yesterday, pardon the pun, I was able to get almost 20 Beatles cassettes or so for about $400 or so, nearly $470 I think. So alongside that, I'll also be showing off a few cassettes that I've acquired within the last 3 months since I last showed off my Beatles cassettes. So let's start right from the very beginning, from 1963, or in this case from 1975. We have Please Please Me, the original Australian cassette from this era. Just going to show the front cover and the tape itself. As you can see, this one is in the track listing, is in the order of the LP, which is a good thing, really. I'm sure a lot of collectors out there are wondering just how much they would like to get one of these. Interesting, American imported shells. That's definitely very different from that particular era. Okay, also part of the same group from yesterday. This is, of course, the band's second album with the Beatles, with the Australian front cover, of course, the one that John Lennon didn't like. Personal preference, I prefer the regular UK one, but the Australian one is fairly unique. And, of course, this one was also a paper label and is also in the correct LP running order. Excellent. That is those two. Also, let's see, what have we got here? I believe this is a Thailand copy of A Hard Day's Night. I've got my eye out for an Australian one, but I haven't been able to find it just yet. And this one, of course, has the track listing slightly readjusted. I'll Cry Instead and Any Time at All have been moved to side 1. And of course on side 2 you'll see that And I Love Her and I Should Have Known Better have been moved over to side 2. I believe the Australian cassette also does that as well. Just based on some pictures of one that I've seen recently. Alright, another album that I did not have 3 months ago, but I now have 2 copies of, is Help. So here's the Australian cassette of that. Another paper label from the 1970s. Also in the correct LP order. And side 2, of course, also in the correct LP order. Not all of the Australian cassettes were in the LP order. Anyway, I have 2 copies of Help. This second copy is a little different. This one most notably has someone's name. Someone named Bob Allen previously owned this copy. And this one, for some reason, has a tape leader, a blue tape leader. Didn't think it would originally, so I'm thinking this could be from anywhere between 1978 or so, before they eventually ditched the paper label cassettes labels. Okay, next one. I'm guessing this one's a 1977 issue. I am aware of these versions. Sgt. Pepper's, of course, with the blue text. Blue text is also used here as well. I believe this style of blue text on the J card and the red coloured shell was used mainly in 1977 for Her Majesty's Silver Jubilee. That's just one source I've heard, and I have not been able to confirm that outside of Steve Hoffman Music Forum, so yeah. Either way, this one's also in the LP order, as was the original 1967 UK cassette. Anyway, that is that one added to my collection recently. So, I also now own, if I can just gently pull it out, this is an American copy of Magical Mystery Tour. As you can see, capital logo from that era. And of course, as good as side 1 sounds, with mostly all in stereo, and side 2, of course, has the typical simulation stereo on the last 3 tracks, which is quite obvious when you hear the extended ending of All You Need Is Love, which is, of course, exclusive to the mono mix of the album, which is a little weird in fake stereo, to be honest. Okay, also part of the group that I purchased yesterday, from 1969 or whenever it was, Hey Jude. Yes, even this made it to Australian cassette release. It'll be interesting to see if some of these work, because I haven't got around to playing them all just yet. As you can see, this one's also an LP order, starting off with Can't Buy Me Love and ending with Revolution. And of course, side 2 opens with Hey Jude and closes out with the Ballad of John and Yoko. Okay, I don't think I had the next 2, or at least the next album, when I last showed off my collection 3 months ago, but now I have 2 copies of Let It Be. This, I believe, is an original paper label cassette again. This one does work perfectly, because I have played this one when I got it about a month ago, I think. Even though the paper labels are a little crinkled, that is to be expected. And this one is also in the LP order, which is a good thing, I guess. And I also have a 1980s reissue with the blue text. Alright, that is that one. That's out of the main catalogue, although Hey Jude is not part of the main catalogue now. Now we move on to the compilations. If I can just put this one back. There we go. Do previously have a reissue of this one, but this one is the original, probably from 75 or so. It is the 1972 compilation album, The Essential Beatles. Ooh, nasty. This one's also owned by Bob Allen, because he keeps running his name on the paper labels. If Mr. Allen ever comes across this channel, I now own your, or at least some of your copies of these Beatles albums. This is not too bad a compilations. Different for the time. Okay, that is that one. Now, if I can just put this one back, we can now move on to the next lot. Okay, I now have a second copy of 1962 to 66. Here is cassette 1. Did previously show off a copy of this 3 months ago, or whenever it was. I did get around to playing these ones this morning. Unfortunately, with this copy of part 1 of this, it started, I don't know, there must be heat damage or something, because from about I Want to Hold Your Hand all the way into to the end of side 1, it started warbling and getting distorted. And it kept glitching up when I tried to play side 2, especially on a hard day's night, so I just decided it wasn't worth trying to ruin it even further by risking another play from the end onwards, so I ended up leaving it. Now we also have another copy of 1962 to 66 part 2 as well. And this one's a slightly earlier one. This has had the black text. So I'd say this one's probably from 1979 or 1980. Again, there's no way to confirm that. Either way, it's a good compilation. Right, put that one away, on to the next one now. 1967 to 1970. Here's the first half of this album. Excellent picture of the band from that era. And the cassette itself is the typical blue from that era. Also played these ones as well. I had no issues with the rest of the 4 that I played this morning. It was just that first part of 1962 to 66. So anyway, here's cassette 2 of 1967 to 70. It too also has the blue label. This one's a little bit aesthetically dirty and may need a clean, but it played perfectly. Excellent. That is that one. Okay, now we move on to a bit of an unusual packaging design. This here is, I believe, the original 1976 release of the Beatles Rock and Roll Music. As you can see, it's in a double cassette, but instead of being open-ended on both sides, it only opens on one side. If I can just... Oh, you're stuck, are you? Oh, no. I'm going to have to pull the black part off. There we go. Anyway, the cassettes themselves are the original paper labels, I believe. This is cassette 1. And cassette 2 as well. As you can see, Dizzy Miss Lizzie's been misspelled. It should be L-I-Z-Z-Y. J card also has the same mistake. If only this double album got a CD release. But I guess you can just burn your own copy if you want, but I wouldn't advise it, to be honest. I'm not one for piracy, thank you very much. I prefer to have official products. Or at least, mostly I do. Okay, let's put that back now. Right, I have another copy of Rock and Roll Music. This one I think is from the early 1980s. Which now has the updated front cover. Axis Records. The world of our sound, or the world of sound, revolves around the Axis. Apparently. Either way, here is the cassette side 1 and side 2. Right, that is the first half of the album from there. And of course we have volume 2 as well. And here's the first half. As you can see, Dizzy Miss Lizzie is spelled correctly here. And we have side 2. And there's that pesky comment in Hey Bulldog where it shouldn't be. But I notice it's also part of the J card. Alright, next one, or next 2 I should say, is a double copy of the 1977 compilation album Love Songs. Here's the first cassette in the red cassette case from that era. Much like the LP, this appears to have been sequenced differently. So yes, here's side 1. And what is technically meant to be side 4 on this side. Don't know why they would go that way, much like the LP. Either way, cassette 2 here. And this is meant to be side 2, originally. And the original side 3. Definitely some of the more interesting songs from that era. Okay, let's put those ones back. Right, just a couple more left to show off. Let's see, what have we got here? I think this is one of the unofficial compilation albums from the early 1980s. This one's titled The Beatles Rock Legends. I believe the majority of this, based on this information here, is the Burt Canford, Tony Sheridan recordings. As you can see, Take Out Some Insurance on Me Baby's been mislabeled. That's that track there. If You Love Me Baby, that is not the correct title. And that mistake also carries over to the cassette itself. And here's side 2 as well. Don't know if I'll play this one because I'm not really interested in these earlier recordings. Okay, another one that I didn't have last time. This is, of course, the early 80s compilation Real Music. This is the Australian version of that. I'm thinking this is 82, 83. I'm not 100% certain now. And the second side as well. I think it's the album versions of Let It Be and Get Back as well. I'm sure those who own the album originally would already know that. Okay, I now have a second copy of the number ones, which I showed off in my last collection video. So, yes, the copy that I already had didn't have that sticker residue on the top right-hand corner. Anyway, this one's a little bit poorer in condition. In fact, it wouldn't even fast forward or rewind. It was like halfway through. So I had to hand do it with a paddle pop stick, because I find they work better than a pen. At least I think they do anyway. Anyway, that is that. And the last one to show off is bizarrely the second half, not the first half, only the second half of the Star Club recordings from December 1962. Bit of an odd choice, this compilation, to be honest. Don't know why I would not have the first half with it, but unfortunately, this was the only half of the album I could get. I think this is a European copy. I don't think this particular album was released on cassette out here. I know it was on LP because I did show it off in one of my previous videos. Be sure to check that out. But either way, that is all of the Beatles cassettes I was able to pick up, as well as the ones that I accumulated in the last couple of months since the last video. But thank you very much for watching the video. Be sure to leave a like and comment down below. And if you're new, be sure to press the subscribe button if you're willing to do so. No pressure, it's all up to you. But until next time, this is the Doga saying have an excellent day and we shall see you again.